today is 19 December 2023. Pretty hot today. We take our shirts off. So, and you must experience the freedom, no ties, no switch, no underwear. We will have reported 19 and 20. Cgqm offered grid management applied at US and European system observed interests not linked with the object complainant, corruption, functional corruption, and international corruption with period of crimes, trusts, and institutional and state power misused. And by this with strong will and real intent to apply consequences against crime system and pandemic crime regressed until checks. 20. Cgqm offered a suggestion for optimization, development, and improvement of instruments available but not totally functional by constitutional preamble of USA. The idea was cognizance sense, right? It's an asset, has a company. IBM, we can act as a stakeholder as part of the interest at this company not turn into a criminal organization as a global corporation like Audit as American companies. We will have kind of reported here the lines we had at the blog. GSS Euro 2023 trace december.blogspot.com. The last thing we had was the defensive system by IoT directory, and we request conviction starting from Rio and Saquarema seats on RJ Federative Unity Brazil criminal state with peers embedded as criminal architecture caught with hands in the air currently by power misusers, including the violation of privacy, basic rights and guarantees, at least since 1999. We request to start from local to global, but you can do global to local or shut the global arena and pandemic criminals, pandemic punishment, go anywhere, even a neutral area. We had the workflow and introduction. The summary we had was kind of the connections, the industry, stakeholders, and complaint by interest, while data tash, counterfeit, fake records and piracy, IoT directory, arbitration, California to antitrust justice, observing the power misuse, complaint at the International Criminal Court, Microsoft to Windows and Google Android, or any other business, moral entity affected by the criminal use of power, since not using the power for criminal purpose. Following suggested two major defensive systems qualified as interest at this complaint by facts proved, email, and others. Consider 1. Get in touch with IBM Cognos developers, California, USA has a person doing this, the development, and you will have the contact through Federal Bureau of Investigation, have CIA and US Secret Service. They talk with the US Defense talk with the NATO reply back. The US Defense and the Federal Bureau of Investigation talk with the International Police and the Antitrust Justice. The Antitrust Justice talks with the OECD that has the talk with any circumstance of risk spread all around, including the BOG as Asia channel, and have redistributed from U.S. homeland based on segments qualified and codified since 2020. The distribution of financial values and instruments at the market misused in USA or with not proper use even out of the United States. For instance, if you get in touch with IBM Kubernetes by an infiltrated agent in Brazil, having the misconduct in Brazil, on Asia, and also on the area having the struggle like Israel, Palestine, and Russia and Ukraine, you of course are having the misuse of something for a purpose that is really dubious and creating a tremendous instability that will put the domestic tranquility of United States for sharing in risk or in dangers. And the United States has no link with this, but you got in touch with the issues and the object by an infiltrated agent that set corrosive arguments all around, spread as broken window, open channels, and those channels got combined forming, gateways, and then you are having the physiological mobilization of financial resources and economic values for criminal purpose, feeding this illicit architecture that current on present time has even paramilitary activity with weapons of mass destruction, even hidden or discrete events that can offer set in the past or the near past or current time to start happening really strong in the near future, like a trigger that you pull but will be kind of with action in the near future, like 2 or 3 years, kind of things that you are irrevocable and you can stop, like the vaccine consequence, for instance. But we are allowed to obtain the dead bodies that has and carry organs that you need to feed it, organ trafficking, covered by fake records as death cause and violation of civil rights that go always as specific hands doing the wrongdoing at the records, covering this entire thing, complaining since 2014 as systemic crime, and during the COVID-19 as mobilization of criminals, and nowadays trying to be a pandemic mobilization of criminal activity, right? IoT directory from California arbitration to the antitrust justice, USA and Europe. Redistributing from U.S. homeland based on segments qualified and codified since 2020. Number 2, to raise a new product and service as my humble contribution from self-defense, totally independent as intellectualism and presented as pro bono. But I can have my guarantees as privacy violated since 1999 and do nothing, and they can complain with the offender if the offender is the state, use it for criminal purpose with peers. So the interest here is abroad the limits of Brazil. The complaint will be internationally made against the local aggression, even with international peers against my basic rights and guarantees in Brazil that has no excuse to be violated, but indeed is violated since 1999. Because I don't like criminals, and I don't like criminal authorities too. I'm not forced to support or clap hand for them, but give a big push to put them all down in the way we did. And pro bono activity to this International Criminal Court and Antitrust Justice, USA and Europe by the empathy with victims suffering, US people and European community. Number 3, to prevent, reduce or interrupt risks of this evil parallel architecture of power that only goes by the entry and if the offender remains. No dismissal list, no dismissal order. That still counts with paramilitary groups sourced at wrongdoings, a domestic security and defense system, like we observe in Brazil. weapons of mass destruction, biohazard, contamination, annihilation, others, hurting also interest and premise of Security Forum Brazil and USA that has no purpose be a criminal mobilization of local crime for international criminal practice, and in many cases supporting piracy and violations that decrease competitive will at market. Since they are sponsored by criminal purpose, they will turn into criminal activity sooner or later, especially if choked that have a business in the way we observed, for instance, in Chicago with traditional hot dog stores that got choked during the COVID-19 isolation and breakdown. There are no excuse to have these things in the way we have, no excuse to keep the storage, no excuse to the storage exist. Required to seizure all illicit resources and banks opening financial investment as antitrust justice punch card. Since you go to the financial desk, which is filled by the agents, that you research your activity in your life to understand if you are a criminal. If you are a criminal, when you call and will consider that you will receive the investment, then you will go sent to jail. Right? Was the idea, was planned this way since at least 2018. We will observe another thing, which is the number 4. And hurt interest society another thing, observe yet that we fake record as Anglestone of power misuse allowed the transference of guiltiness for big tech customers and investors or stakeholders in good faith. Once in a while, they got combined by criminal purpose. But since you do not support this, you are in good faith. You open data, you open your life, and in any situation allow it to broadcast things about your privacy or but doing things in a professional way. Of course, that you have the legitimacy to claim the guiltiness of our offenders by a not partial judge or not corrupted court with autonomy to react, because indeed hurt the interest as court or judge representing the legitimacy of power to be expressed as the punishment or consequence validated or affordable, but reduced since you had the minor capacity as apply consequence and do the responsiveness against the criminal activity. We proved that there are no institutions on present time with legitimacy to do decisions against the organized crime without be affected by this, so we created a moral entity with no ties with this, even as a single predator founder to do things we did, and we are here by this. And independence to spare war is needed against the current mobilization of criminals, clustered as a race totally unveiled by qualified behavior at power misusers and codified as power misusers, victims not linked with state and institutional crimes. Please take a look at the blog GSS 2023, 3 December, .blogspot.com. You have more lines there. The most relevant thing we are doing the single creditor activity as action security plan 1920 up to 2028 project while data tax also on the illicit interference by no excuse acts. The idea is cognizance. The cognizance indeed do the reading of something that shows randomized in a very first moment, but organize the data with a hierarchical composition as argument to be presented as the frequency and density as expression of the perception of this instrument, but it's very limited. This is the application we can consider for commercial purpose, but for security with the IoT directory in US Defense, considering the system key organization mentioned, we will use this to do the book of the as violation of instrument and architecture embedded, and that clone the IDs and other things having an internal cycle inside the distribution of IPs or whatever that you will change with a specific pattern as rotation or loop, and will block the static activity based on the IP or the ID you got in a list way. If changed all the time, you can follow this. And if you try to follow, indeed your signal will be cut and will be presented now at the Cognos as commercial, like the information you need by payment, since you do the application and the IBM asset. And it will be very expensive for sure, because it's security of will, right? Have a great day.